guys known each other?
Wow, since 80. Wow, I was doing Soldier's Play when I met Spike, so maybe 84, 5. Laurence Fishburne, and I was not in a commercial, and I'm not that other black guy who's in that commercial, or I'm not the black guy who's in this other commercial.
At 76, Samuel L. Jackson has had enough, and he's finally letting the world know it. After decades of dealing with Hollywood politics, fake smiles, and two-faced co-stars, he's dropping names and calling out the 5 actors he just can't stand. Fans always notice the tension, the sharp side eyes, the slick little jabs, but now the mask is off. From shady set drama to career sabotage, Samuel isn't just throwing shade. He's burning bridges with gasoline. And the names, you won't believe who made the list.
First of all, Spike, so glad you're sitting down. After 18 consecutive home losses, the Knicks won tonight. I repeat, the Knicks won tonight.
Hollywood is shaking right now. With a career spanning 5 decades and over $27 billion in box office receipts, Samuel L. Jackson isn't just a legend. He's an unstoppable force. His memory is razor sharp, his voice cuts through the noise, and at this point in his life, he's not playing nice for anyone. Forget the Marvel paychecks and the purple lightsaber. This is the side of Samuel Hollywood never wants to talk about. The man who rewrote the rules, demanded respect, and refused to bow down. Think you know Samuel L. Jackson? Think again. This is the man who turned down Steven Spielberg not once, but twice, who made George Lucas bend Star Wars canon to his vision. And when Marvel tried to lowball him, he didn't flinch. He told them to double his paycheck or forget about Nick Fury entirely. But topping his list of feuds is one nobody wanted to admit, yet everyone whispered about. Spike Lee. That's right, Samuel L. Jackson versus Spike Lee. 2 of the most powerful black voices in American cinema, once celebrated as a dream team for storytelling, now locked in an icy, bitter fallout. And when Samuel revealed his can't stand list,
"He gonna stay in the big house?" Steve, he's a slaver.
Fans were floored to see Spike Lee sitting at number 1. Why? Because this wasn't some little spat. It was betrayal, pride, power, and a Cold War that stretched across decades. Hollywood tried to act like nothing was happening, but the tension was impossible to hide. Back in the late 1980s, Spike Lee wasn't just a filmmaker, he was a movement. And one of the first actors to ride that wave was a hungry, rising Samuel L. Jackson. Spike gave him his shot, putting Sam in School Days, 1988, then handing him the unforgettable role of DJ Mr. Senor Love Daddy in Do the Right Thing, 1989. The duo kept building heat, teaming up for Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever. Jackson's portrayal of Gator, a crack addict chasing destruction, was so raw and electrifying that Cannes literally created an award just for him. That's right. His performance was so powerful, the festival invented a Best Supporting Actor prize on the spot, despite not giving one for over a decade. And they've never done it again since. That's the level Jackson was on. To fans, the Spike-Sam connection looked untouchable. The start of a dynasty like Scorsese and De Niro, but louder, blacker, and bolder. The energy was undeniable until it all came crashing down. By 1992, Spike was preparing his magnum opus, Malcolm X, a massive, history-making project. Naturally, he wanted Jackson in it. He asked Sam to audition for Baines, the prison character who guides Malcolm toward Islam, a pivotal role in the story.
Samuel, apparently you have recently lost your title as the highest grossing actor of all time.
Yeah, I've been displaced.
By
Harrison Ford, again. I displaced him, he displaced me, but hey, it's only 70 mil.
Jackson auditioned, landed the part, but then came the silence. No confirmation, no celebration. Instead, Spike got a cold phone call from Jackson's agent. Sam was turning the role down. Why? The paycheck. Spike had offered scale plus 10, the bare minimum SAG allowed, plus the agent's 10%. For an actor who just set Cannes on fire, it felt like an insult. Jackson rejected the deal flat out. And Spike, he didn't just feel let down, he felt disrespected. What bothered me was not that he didn't want to do the film, Spike admitted, but that he had his agent call me. I thought we had a relationship, Spike said. For him, it was about respect. He expected Sam to pick up the phone and call him directly. But to Jackson, that so-called relationship felt more like Spike demanding blind loyalty. Years later, when Sam was asked about the fallout, he didn't soften the story one bit. It wasn't the most pleasant conversation, Jackson recalled. Spike aired out his frustrations, and Sam, he just laughed it off. What really ticked Jackson off wasn't the words, it was the tone. Spike acted like Sam owed him eternal gratitude just because he gave him early roles. But Jackson wasn't having it. He made it clear. Spike didn't make him.
Samuel L. Jackson, where are you? 152 movie titles, 27 billion in box office, more than any other actor.
They built each other up, and if anything, Spike should have acknowledged how much Jackson's performances elevated his films. And then Jackson really let it fly. He reminded everyone that Spike was pulling 4 checks from Malcolm X, director, writer, producer, and actor. Meanwhile, he expected his cast to work for scraps. Jackson's response? You want to pay me scale while you collect 4 salaries? Nah, let me play your role and make some real money while I'm at it. That kind of blunt truth? Spike did not take it well. To make matters worse, Jackson doubled down. He said he had earned his place. If Spike wasn't willing to pay properly, or at least offer a back-end deal, Sam had no reason to stay loyal. He wasn't a struggling stage actor anymore. Hollywood was already knocking at his door, and right in the middle of the Malcolm X standoff, Sam got the call that changed everything. His agent told him, "You just won an award at Cannes." For what? Jungle Fever. The festival had created a whole category just for him. That sealed it. Hollywood wanted Jackson, and he wasn't about to miss his moment. So instead of Spike's historical epic, Sam signed on for White Sands, a gritty thriller with Willem Dafoe and Mickey Rourke.
There's enough problem being vilified himself as a racist because he uses in his scripts that much, or puts those kinds of words in a character's mouth.
It was a bold pivot that split their careers apart for the next 2 decades. What followed was 22 years of pure silence. No roles, no shout-outs, no collaborations, nothing. Jackson worked with everybody, Tarantino, Scorsese, Marvel, but never Spike. And when Spike started taking public shots at Quentin Tarantino's use of the N-word in Django Unchained, Jackson didn't just disagree, he clapped back. It's just another way of saying Spike needs to shut the F up. That's what Sam said, and the quote spread like wildfire. The feud wasn't quiet anymore. It was loud, messy, and impossible to ignore. By then, their beef was an open Hollywood secret. Some pointed fingers at Spike's ego, others at Jackson's refusal to play by anyone's rules. But underneath it all, the real fight was about control. Spike wanted loyalty, Jackson wanted freedom, and neither of these two powerhouses was willing to bend. The irony, Jackson has always said Jungle Fever, the same film that made Cannes break tradition, actually saved his life. He had just come out of rehab before playing Gator. He was detoxing, barely hanging on, but he still showed up and gave a performance so raw that people thought he was really on crack. I didn't need makeup. I was Gator, Sam admitted. The Fruit of Islam on set even tried to throw him out, convinced he was an actual addict who wandered onto the production. That role didn't just launch him, it kept him alive. And that's why the fallout cut so deep. The man who gave him that lifeline later tried to pay him scraps and treat him like a rookie. For Jackson, that betrayal was unforgettable. But in 2013, after more than 2 decades of icy silence, something shifted. Jackson and Spike quietly reunited for the Old Boy remake. Their wives had reconnected. Dinners started happening, and slowly the wall between them began to crack. We had not worked together since Jungle Fever, Jackson admitted. So was it a wonderful reunion?
We had not worked together since Jungle Fever, so was it a wonderful reunion.
Yeah. At one of those dinners, Spike revealed he had a new remake in the works. Old Boy. Jackson jumped at it. Can I be in it? And just like that, they were back on set together. Jackson later admitted it felt natural, easy. He doesn't get in my way artistically, Sam told Playboy. Whatever I come with, and it's cool. But let's be real. Some polite dinners and one forgettable film didn't erase 2 decades of bitterness. So when did Samuel L. Jackson finally let it all out? When he dropped his list of the 5 actors he hates the most. This wasn't about petty revenge. It was about clearing the air and finally putting the real story in the open. And at the very top, Spike Lee. No matter how many awards they stacked or how historic their films once were, The feud was never about the art, it was about respect, and neither man was willing to give it. On paper, Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson should be Hollywood soulmates, 6 collaborations, decades of loyalty, and some of the most iconic scenes in cinema owe their power to this director-actor duo. But in Hollywood, loyalty always comes with an expiration date, especially when egos clash. Jackson has always been the pulse of Tarantino's films. From the thunderous sermons of Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction to the cold, chilling authority of Steven in Django Unchained, no one else could deliver Tarantino's marathon monologues like Sam. Even Tarantino admitted it. Sam says it like poetry. But here's the twist. For a man obsessed with control, Jackson's brilliance became a problem. Fans started whispering that Sam must be writing those unforgettable lines himself. And sometimes they were right. That infamous "cool in the gang" line from Pulp Fiction, 100% Jackson improv, and Tarantino hated it. He exploded in an interview, fuming. "I get pissed off that people think Sam came up with most of his own dialogue. I wrote Sam's dialogue."
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett. You tried to...
That wasn't just irritation. That was bruised pride. To Tarantino, his scripts are sacred, untouchable, his personal gospel. Actors aren't collaborators in his world. They're vessels. So watching Samuel L. Jackson become the voice of Tarantino's brand, while audiences credited Sam for the style and flavor, that cut deep. Tarantino may have smiled for the cameras, but behind the curtain, the jealousy was real, and it only got louder with time. Fast forward to 2024, Pulp Fiction turns 30. Tarantino and Jackson hit the stage together at the TCM Classic Film Festival, and fans expected nostalgia, maybe even a little magic. Instead, they got side eyes and awkward tension. Tarantino delivered his usual ego-filled analysis, while Jackson slipped in a sharp jab, saying the difference in Tarantino's films is how much time is spent telling you who you are and how you feel. Translation: it wasn't your camera tricks, Quentin. It was me making your characters iconic. But the feud went nuclear when Tarantino blasted Marvel on a podcast. He dismissed Marvel actors as not real movie stars, claiming the franchise was the real draw. Jackson, who's been the face of Nick Fury for nearly 20 years, wasn't having it. He clapped back live on The View saying, "Chadwick Boseman is Black Panther. You can't refute that. And he's a movie star." Subtext: don't erase our shine just because you don't like capes and CGI. This wasn't a friendly debate. It was a collision of philosophies. Tarantino worshipped cinema as art.
He was writing episode 1, said, "Well, I don't know, what I could do, but, I heard you like my films." I'm like, "Look, man, put me in one of those white suits and let me run across screen."
Jackson sees it as impact. And while Jackson's never chased validation from the Academy, he made it clear he'd rather rock a lightsaber or rock an eye patch than beg for Oscars, and that eats Tarantino alive. Because here's the deepest cut. Jackson doesn't bow to Tarantino anymore. The power flipped. The actor who once elevated Quentin's words is now openly mocking his arrogance, dismissing his Marvel hate, and refusing to play the Hollywood politics game. Tarantino may have helped Jackson rise from character actor to icon, but he also tried to cage him. And Samuel L. Jackson doesn't do boxes. The bromance with Tarantino? Fractured. The creative magic? Fading fast. And in a town built on fake smiles, Jackson just sent Quentin a warning shot. But if you ask Samuel L. Jackson what really fueled the long brewing tension between him and Laurence Fishburne, it's not just about one role, it's about respect. And Jackson, a man famous for his unfiltered mouth, never forgets when someone tries to step on his shine. Let's rewind. Pulp Fiction, 1994. The cult classic that catapulted Jackson into superstardom. His character Jules Winfield, with that chilling Ezekiel 25:17 monologue and those piercing eyes, became one of the most iconic roles in cinema history. But here's the twist most fans don't know. That role was originally offered to Laurence Fishburne, and he turned it down. Now, here's where the shade gets heavy. Years later, in a casual interview with Jamel Hill, Fishburne casually dropped the bomb. "I turned down Pulp Fiction. I don't regret that at all. That's the role that made Sam Jackson a star, and I contributed to that. I stayed out the way." Contributed? Stayed out the way? To Jackson, that wasn't just casual talk. That was ego. It's one thing to pass on a role, it's another to act like you handed someone their career by rejecting it. And knowing Jackson's fire, that comment cut deep. Because in his world, he didn't borrow that spotlight, he owned it. To imply it was a hand-me-down, that's Hollywood arrogance at its peak. But it didn't stop there. The tension spilled out in one of the most awkward viral moments in entertainment history. During a live interview, a reporter confused Jackson with, guess who? Laurence Fishburne. Sam snapped instantly. Live on air. I'm not Laurence Fishburne. We don't all look alike. We may all be black and famous, but we don't all look alike. You are busted. That moment was raw, it was real, and it exposed years of bottled up frustration. Beneath the jokes and sarcasm, something deeper was brewing. Jackson was done with being mistaken for a man who, in his eyes, threw subtle shade while pretending to give him props. The line that really cut deep? When Fishburne said, I contributed to that. To Jackson, it felt like a backhanded compliment dripping with Hollywood elitism, like he should be grateful to play leftovers, like his career only existed because Fishburne passed. The irony? Fishburne admitted he didn't even like Tarantino's script, said parts of it rubbed him the wrong way.
Is not a fool of any sort and understands a whole lot about what's going on in life and in the world.
But once the film blew up and Jackson's career skyrocketed, suddenly Fishburne was attaching himself to the legacy by omission, by association, by crediting his decision. Behind the scenes, insiders swear these two never hashed it out. No sit down, no apology, no closure. Just decades of subtle digs, sly interview shade, and stiff energy whenever they cross paths at industry events. Jackson doesn't need to spell it out. When someone turns down your defining role, then tries to take partial credit and people still confuse you with them, that's not just disrespect, that's personal. And knowing Samuel L. Jackson, that lands you permanently on his hate list. But Hollywood had bigger galaxies in store. You'd think being handpicked by George Lucas to step into the Star Wars universe would be the ultimate dream. And for a while, it was. Samuel L. Jackson's Mace Windu became one of the most iconic Jedi Masters ever. The purple lightsaber? That was his personal request. The swagger, the authority, the badass one-liners? All Jackson. He took what could have been another faceless Jedi in the background and turned him into a fan-favorite legend. But behind the epic lightsaber duels and unforgettable fight scenes, cracks were forming. Because truth be told, Samuel L. Jackson's Star Wars run came with serious behind-the-scenes tension. Jackson wasn't George Lucas's first choice for a Jedi. In fact, he didn't even expect to be cast at all. Sam admitted he literally begged to be in Star Wars, saying he'd be fine playing a stormtrooper in the background. That's how low his expectations were. Lucas almost casually tossed him a part that evolved into Mace Windu. Sounds wholesome, right? Think again, fast forward to Revenge of the Sith, and that's when the problems started bubbling. Daniel Logan, the young actor who played Boba Fett, revealed that originally Mace Windu was supposed to die at his hands, not Palpatine's. It was planned as a powerful revenge arc. Jango Fett's son taking out the Jedi who killed his father. It was storyboarded, it was discussed, it was ready to go. But according to Logan, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't having it. He allegedly went straight to George Lucas and shut it down. Jackson supposedly told him, I don't think some punk kid should be able to take out a Jedi Council member. That's right, punk kid. And just like that, the storyline vanished. Logan said he was ghosted, waiting an entire year for a callback that never came. Instead, he was iced out completely, and his career took a nosedive. And let's be real, this is Star Wars, a franchise that literally brought back Darth Maul after he was chopped in half, but Boba Fett avenging his father? Canceled. Why? Because Jackson didn't want his character going out that way. Some fans say it was pure ego. Others argue he just wanted to protect the legendary image of Mace Windu. But either way, Logan lost his big breakout moment, and maybe his long-term shot at live-action stardom. Here's the kicker. Jackson never addressed it publicly. No apology, no acknowledgement, just silence. Meanwhile, Logan's still talking about it at conventions, hinting his career was derailed by Jackson's behind-the-scenes power move. It's the oldest Hollywood story. One star's legacy gets protected, while another's career gets tossed aside. So when people ask why Jackson put George Lucas on his list, it's not about lightsabers or Jedi robes, it's about power, about decisions made behind closed doors, where one man can rewrite entire storylines just because he's too big to lose. And if you think that's messy, buckle up, because the next name on Jackson's list might be the most shocking yet. When two Hollywood titans, both with resumes stacked with Spielberg, Tarantino, and more, managed to go 3 decades without ever sharing the screen, that's not coincidence, that's a choice. Samuel L. Jackson and Denzel Washington have one of the most fascinating frenemy dynamics in the industry. Publicly, they show respect. Privately, they've been locked in a quiet competition for years. They're two of the only black actors in Hollywood history to consistently headline films that pulled over $100 million at the box office. And in 2001, their rivalry came to a head with Training Day. Jackson wanted the role of Alonzo Harris, the crooked cop with charm and menace. But the part went to Denzel. His chilling performance won him his 2nd Oscar, cementing one truth: when it came to serious, dramatic roles, Denzel was still the king. Jackson didn't challenge him head-on, he pivoted. Instead of chasing Oscars, he built an empire. He planted his flag in blockbuster territory, Marvel, Star Wars, and beyond, and it paid off big time. With over $27 billion in global earnings, Samuel L. Jackson became the highest-grossing actor in film history. Meanwhile, Denzel stuck to prestige projects and award-winning performances, the kind that kept him hailed as an actor's actor. Two very different paths, two very different definitions of greatness. But make no mistake, underneath the smiles and speeches, the tension between them has always been real. Denzel is the kind of actor who disappears so completely into his roles that you forget you're even watching Denzel Washington. He built his own lane behind the scenes too, launching his production company, Monday Lane Entertainment, to shape the stories he wanted told. Jackson, on the other hand, became a box office titan by creating an unforgettable persona that audiences instantly recognize. He turned Nick Fury and Mace Windu into cultural icons, and his bold move with Marvel, signing one of the most actor-friendly contracts in the entire franchise, proved you could dominate blockbusters while stacking both creative freedom and massive paychecks. If Denzel represents the purity of craft, Jackson represents the raw power of personal brand. Both men revolutionized Hollywood, but in completely different ways. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The idea of Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson finally sharing the screen isn't a dream pairing for studios. It's a nightmare. Insiders know this isn't just about egos. It's about two entirely different approaches to storytelling colliding head-on. Denzel avoids CGI-heavy, green-screen blockbusters. Jackson thrives in them. Meanwhile, Jackson has no interest in the Oscar-driven prestige dramas that Denzel dominates. Their careers are built like chess moves, almost designed to never cross paths. They're not enemies. They're not friends. They're two kings of the game, each ruling his own empire, each guarding his own lane. And the truth is, if those lanes ever merged, Hollywood's system would break under the weight. So there it is. Samuel L. Jackson isn't just dropping names, he's dropping bombs. After decades of fake smiles, industry politics, and silent grudges, he's speaking his truth, loud, raw, and unapologetic. If you made it this far, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment with your thoughts, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who loves the drama as much as you do. See you on the next one.